Okay, so I thought I'd do a quick video on GitHub Pages because I have been running my website previously on WordPress on my own VPS server that I've been running. But I know there's a lot of people in the van life community living minimalistic lives, and they might want to do free web hosting. And got things like Blogspot, and I think you got WordPress.com, but a lot of those things have ads in it. And GitHub Pages allows you to host static web pages for free. And you can even have a domain name with an SSL certificate and all that sort of stuff. So it says websites for you and your projects. Um, and there's some examples clicking through. There's videos. That's pages.github.com if you're interested in looking at this page. You get one site per GitHub account and organization and unlimited project sites. And it talks a little bit about setting it up here. And if you don't want to buy a domain name, you can have your username.github.io for free, or you can purchase a domain name like a .com for about $15 a year. So you see your custom URLs, blogging with Jekyll, which is what I'm using, and so that's basically it. So here I will show you the GitHub repository. So this is my username, AussieVanLife82, and the repository is AussieVanLife82.github.io. So you create a repository with the same name as your user with just .github.io at the end. And you can see roughly 4 hours ago, so I wanted to do this while it's fairly fresh, I have uploaded a whole bunch of files, and most of them just say initial commit. Here you can see I've got a comment, added sitemap and SEO tags 4 hours ago. Updated config and storage locker trap files. Created a CNAME, which is what was for the domain name, but I did that through the GitHub. GitHub created that file, so you can see that there are the files in the repo, and this is the Jekyll website. So Aussie Van Life. So I created this theme in Jekyll, and if you scroll down a bit, you can see migrating to GitHub Pages and Jekyll, and I'm basically saying, what I've been talking about in this video. And basically, if all goes well with running my blog on Jekyll with GitHub Pages, then the theme that I end up creating and some training on how to do it for yourself. So that way you don't have to be technical in building out your blog, because obviously GitHub is for developers and programmers, and so usually you have technical knowledge to create your own themes. So there's not a lot of themes for Jekyll. And then I basically have this little box, 6 pages, and so I have made some changes since then, which I'll show you in a moment, because I'll show you the process for updating GitHub Pages. But over here, this is my WordPress site. So you can see this was just a standard WordPress theme. I had a background image. You got your video, your links down here. Again, you can see if I scroll to the bottom, there's roughly 6 pages, so roughly 10 blog entries on each page. But what I don't currently have, which I will be adding, is like a list of the categories for just filtering on categories. And another thing is when you click in, I'm going to look in to see if I can have like previous and next post as well. So basically, I'm just starting with what I guess in the software development world is called a minimum viable product. So this is like the minimum to kind of get up and running, and then I sort of improve it over time. And so for basically doing, so in here, if we go to the settings, and hopefully I don't show anything that I don't want to show, but blog, pages, pages, GitHub Pages. So basically you have the main branch, the root, and in here I added a custom domain name, and it basically tells you that you point your domain names of the CNAME record to here. You can also do it with an A name record with their IP addresses, but this is probably the quickest way. And so I use Cloudflare for DNS. Cloudflare is free, but you can see the CNAME, AussieVanLife.com, points to AussieVanLife82.github.io, and the www also points to the GitHub page. I made Earth point to my VPS, and my VPS server, and then obviously I've got a whole bunch of CNAMEs for other things which I don't really use that also go to my server, and my email MX record, I'm sending it to earth.anthonyon.com because I guess I have a whole bunch of sites on my server. But that's basically how you set it up. If you're not technical, when I do a course, if Jekyll works out with GitHub, then I'll explain it in more detail. But for those of you that know a little bit, that's kind of how it works. And so, where was I up to? So, yeah, so this is the live website on GitHub Pages, and also GitHub Pages has like geolocation. So if you're in the United States, you'd get sent to a server that is close to the United States. If you're in the Southern Hemisphere in Australia, you'd get sent to a server that's close to Australia. So it'll send them with content delivery networks. It'll send it to the closest. So you've got like that cloud type storage that would normally cost a lot of money built in, and I'll just show you going into a video, like don't fall into storage locker trap, and then a YouTube video will load here, and then I've got whatever text, and I'll show you how all this works in a minute. But this is obviously the old WordPress site, which is earth.aussievanlife.com, because obviously I changed my DNS to go to the GitHub Pages, and this is the local development. So when you're developing with Jekyll, you can serve up a local development server, and if you look at my local development server, you'll see that it's different. So here I've got Van Life Documentary, where I'm pointing to a popular documentary, one that I quite enjoy. Then I've got some useful van life websites and YouTube channels. So at the moment I've just got Cheap RV Living and Van City Van Life. I might add some more over time, and then obviously I've got this. And my footer bar kind of got messed up if you look at this one, so I'll probably have to fix that. Like I said, this is minimum viable product, but I'll show you the process for basically making this go live to GitHub. So basically, if I go to my code editor, and I'll kind of quickly show you the updating, and then I'll show you the technical behind the scenes things. But if I go to the Git repository, you can see I've got config. So in the config, you can see the differences is here. So one is for localhost on my development machine, and one is my URL for the GitHub pages, and I just comment whichever one out. So basically, I've changed my default layout. So I've added some stuff in here for that. So I want to commit this change to GitHub. So I basically just press the plus and say, yep, I want to commit this change. And then on the home page, if I scroll through it, oh, that's got to click it. You can see that there's quite a bunch of changes in the home page. So a whole bunch of stuff that I've added, because obviously the home page is different. So yes, I want to add that one. But the config file, I don't want to add that one because it's set up for localhost, and obviously my GitHub pages, you don't want it to be localhost, you want it to be this one. So I'm not going to commit the changes to this one. So basically, these are changes that are not committed down here, where that is, and up here I've got the stage commit. So the ones I press the plus on, I've got these two files that I'm going to be sending up to GitHub Pages. So then I can add a message that I want to put on the files. So basically, I was updating the home page. That's basically all I've been doing. So then if I click this little tick, it will commit these files to the Git repository locally on my local machine. So now it's been committed, but obviously I want it to be up in the real world on GitHub Pages. So basically what I need to do is come up here, and I need to push the changes back to GitHub. So I click push, and you can see it spinning around, and it's now done. Oh, I believe it's done, yep. So now if I come back into my repository, you can see 33 seconds ago updating the home page, and also the index.html will say, not index, Is it a layout page that I was changing? I got a layout called home, yeah. And in that home, you can see that, well actually, you can't see. I'll just go in here, back one. You can see 1 minute ago, I updated this home page file. So if I come back into here and I go home, it may or may not have updated yet. Sometimes it takes a bit of time. And it has actually updated live, aussievanlife.com, on GitHub, because GitHub will rebuild the pages when I upload it. But you can see now it's live. So basically, I have a code repository that I can roll back and do changes for. So if you're a developer, you'll appreciate that. I mean, an average user won't necessarily appreciate that, but basically, GitHub will rebuild the static site based on the changes I made. And just while I was talking, you can see that it's been updated, and now that's live on the internet. So how does this work? Well, let's come back to my files, and I don't need that one. All right. So basically, the way that it works is you have like an overall HTML page template. Like this is the main one. And I've got includes and different things. So if you're a developer, I mean, this is going to be pretty straightforward, but a lot of people aren't developers. So what about just doing average content? Well, here's the page. Don't fall into the locker storage trap. I've created a layout for YouTube that loads a YouTube video. Here I've got the permalink for the website, like the URL that people type, the title, the date that I had the article. I can also put the time there, and then the categories that I want it to be in van life and van life getting started, then a little bit of text that shows up under the video. So if we look at that in here, don't fall into the storage locker trap, it's basically pulling this video up. So if you're just doing like a blog with YouTube videos and maybe a bit of text underneath, I mean, all you need is the YouTube video ID, and that is pretty easy. You could learn how to get your head around that. So you don't have to create the layout, particularly if I create a van life layout. But basically, you can see that you run a command that builds the local server, and whenever I make a change to something, and I save the file, if you look down here, you'll see that it's rebuilding. And then when it's finished rebuilding everything, in just a second, I don't know why it's taking so long. It may actually be already done, but if I refresh this, oh, that's the live site. Refresh the local one. It has 2 full stops, and if I delete it and save it, and I refresh it, it has 1 again. And obviously, you can test it on your local machine. When you're happy with it, then you go into your Git and you apply the changes, like I showed you just before. So far, I mean, it's been working fairly well on the live site. Obviously, I still need to modify my theme a little bit more and add extra stuff in. But this is, for a minimal viable product, it's working reasonably well. And so if you're wanting to do van life on the cheap and maybe document your travels and you want a website without ads, GitHub Pages is one possibility. It's a little bit more involved to set up because it's really assuming that you're like a programmer basically. But yeah, I'll continue building out my theme, and if I feel that it's a good solution, I'll build up a basic training course and release the theme for all you guys. So anyway, if you like the video, you get something out of it, thumbs up, all that sort of stuff. If you're watching it on YouTube, if you're watching it on my website, I will eventually add comments into the Jekyll site over time. So if there's comments available, you can comment as well. Alright, so I will end the video there.